Roaring 20s that are about to launch.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, welcome to Therapist Happy Hour. My name is Colin. This is Andy and Jason. And this week we were wanting to talk. It's the end of the year or the beginning of the new year. And we thought we would have a short discussion on what was the biggest things we learned. What's the most important thing we've learned from this year? And also maybe what we're looking to learn next year or this coming year.
In 21.
In 21. In 21.
21. What a good number.
I think 21 is going to be nuts. I think I don't want to pull us away from the discussion, but for real, I think that we're all going to emerge out of this with a whole lot of really interesting energy.
Yeah, I think so too. Jason,
I feel like we've been waiting to start, and I've got this feeling like as soon as we can run out the door, it's like I'm going to fall flat on my face. Like a cartoon character.
Feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It still doesn't feel like 21.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time of this recording, we're like only a few days in. So,
well, and it's wild. Like people, of course, it's easy to be like, screw 2020, it's over. But clearly nothing has really changed. Yeah. But we get such a kick out of like the beginning of like Mondays, beginning of the month, beginning of the year. Like it's a clean slate. We can start over. It's like a refresh button.
It is. It does feel like the middle movie in a trilogy, though. It kind of feels like nothing really is truly going to happen this year to me. It feels like The Empire Strikes Back between,
Yeah, that's when Han was carbonated.
Yeah, at the end. That's true. Yeah, you had Hoth at the beginning. It's cold right now. We'll introduce Boba Fett. Love him.
Do you think that there's any? We're calling it 21, but I'm serious about the Roaring 20s, right? Does it feel? It kind of feels like we might be launching into something like that. If you think about where we were as a country, like coming out of World War I, coming out of another global pandemic, where we were in the 20s,
the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Did you know the Spanish flu did not originate in Spain?
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, people called it Spanish. So the flu was going around. Spain was the first one that was like called it for what it was. Like, this is a problem. So then everyone was like, oh, Spanish flu. Spain called it Spanish flu forever.
Really?
But no, they were the responsible ones that started to take measures first. And then they got labeled Spanish flu.
COVID's a problem. Andy flu.
What are we gonna do about this Andy flu?
Let's get rid of Andy.
Please don't make that my legacy. I don't want that to be my legacy. I don't know. Back to the question at hand.
What did you this year, 2020, this last year? Now that we're done, what do you think you learned? What's the big lesson you learned?
That therapy works. That this thing that we do matters. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been really intense and really big, but like has really felt. And some of these things that we talk about theoretically, like, here's some things to do for depression, right?
Yeah.
We were all forced into what feels like depression, like how depression lags action. Right? Of like, if we are all locked up in our homes and we're all forced to isolate and we're all eating bad food and we're all like, all of a sudden there is a collective depression that lagged that. And then and likewise, changing behaviors and getting outside and moving and being in the sun and having connections with people. Like, there was a noticeable, tangible life difference that I got to experience. That felt just real. And it's something that like we all collectively got to experience along with our clients, I think. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that a lot of people, and I think to a certain extent, myself included, gets caught up in the idea of depression as a word rather than a experience of something. Like, we just decided to call this feeling that you experience depression just because that's the word that we picked for it, but there's something deeper and that's universal about that. And I think all of us kind of were like, I'm experiencing this thing where I can get out of bed and I don't know what what to do with the world. I feel a little hopeless. I don't know. Is it depression? And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know. That it doesn't really matter what you call it. We use the word depression to kind of like you know, encapsulate some type of mood in the DSM, a bunch of old guys, you know, just to have something that we can all grapple towards understanding what we're talking about. But it's more interesting describing what you're going through, because that's the descriptor of that, you know, word depression. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an experience. It's not a word. Depression is something
Yeah.
you go through and that you're living with, not some list of symptoms that, like you said, some old people, old dudes
Yeah.
put in a book a long time ago.
But how
Because that's even
fascinating was it that
sauce.
it lagged the behavior, right? We're like, hey, everybody, being together is dangerous, so be home, you know. And then, okay, well, now that I'm home and I'm not able to be around people, now the outside is scary. Like, what starts happening with us when we start going through that? And there's something collectively that we all kind of experienced a bit of, that's worth,
Mhm.
at least worth holding up and looking at and saying, huh, there's something to this.
yeah.
Mhm.
We need other people.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the truth, is that it's felt so much better connecting with you guys and the other Zoom calls that I do. It's just felt good to be seen and to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that need is still there, right? And maybe that's what I'm getting at when I keep joking about the roaring 20s, right? Of like, that need to connect hasn't gone away. And then as soon as it becomes safer and safer, I think that, this is me, it'll be interesting to watch what happens with behavior around that. Like, are people just going to go crazy?
Right.
You know?
There's going to be a lot of awkwardly long hugs.
I think, and I said this at the beginning of the pandemic, I think that everyone's going to be awkward.
There's going to be a reacclimating, like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
handshake, hug, what are we doing?
Our handshake's even going to be a thing
Right.
anymore? I don't know. And I mean, like, I don't know. I think that we're all going to kind of not really know what to do or say. Like I remember the other day I was ordering, I think I might have told you guys about this. I was ordering beer from Total Wine, and um the guy called me and he was like, "Hey, is it okay if instead of having the real ale 12 pack, you have the Carbach 12 pack?" And I was like, "Yeah, totally. That's fine. Thank you." And like I had like that awkward kind of like, thank you very much. And then I kind of just go, "Ugh," and ended the call. And I was like, why was I so weird? And I think it's because I haven't talked to people as much this year. So I think that we're all going to be a little bit awkward in 21.
Well, and the exciting thing is, like, we're going to be really present in moments that we have taken for granted, and we've been on autopilot. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what's up? You know, like, we get to see people again. You know, like those first few steps are going to be terrifying sometimes, but also like exhilarating. And like, yeah, we're going to experience. We're going to really be present for that. And I think it'll wear off, but for a while it won't. You know, for a while at
Yeah.
the beginning, it's going to feel good. It's going to
It's
feel
going to be
really
the repair after the rupture.
good. All right.
Yeah.
One thing I learned, I think, is that really experiencing that feeling of it's like driving your car with your foot on the gas and a foot on the brake at the same time.
Mm.
And like being in a pandemic, starting my career, going 90 miles an hour as a new therapist in the middle of a global pandemic, and having to turn clients away from the get-go because like I have to I have a family, I have to watch my kids who are out of school, and and I can't take on as many clients as I want to, and then I can't do all the things that I thought I was going to be able to do because the brakes are put on. So like my engine's still revving, but and it's kind of it's a very uncomfortable feeling, that brakes and accelerator at the same time.
Yeah. Because it's two conflicting places.
Yeah.
It's hard to sit with that.
And I don't know what the lesson is in that, except for I have that experience now that I can apply that to.
Well, the lesson is to live the polarity. The lesson is to not go full extreme into one or the other, but to understand that there's a balance between all things, and we can sit there in the middle and just be there in the middle, and to live being in the middle.
Hmm.
Or it's
You know?
both. It's push and pull at the
It's
same
push
time.
and pull. Yeah. I think it's just it's allowing ourselves to know that extremes in one way or the other can be extremely dangerous. And to say that we have the ability to choose.
Yeah. And there's something that happens too around like when we lean in too far to one side, the other side gets way lit up, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that extra during this because we've had to lean in extra into one side. So like my other needs that have been ignored feel bigger.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, Colin?
Well, I mean, I think what in general or about that specific.
That's specific. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, I like the idea of kind of the extremes of of both ends of the spectrum being lit up at the same time at once.
Mhm,
And that
mhm.
being on both ends can be problematic, but also trying to like stretch yourself out and being on both. We're really extending the metaphor here, but to be at both ends at the same time is really problematic. And I feel like this is something that the three of us talk about a lot is just making like allowing, just that word allow. If that could be my mantra for an acceptance commitment there. That's the acceptance part.
Yeah.
You're accepting it. Doesn't mean you don't have to not like it or not work to change it, but there's something, like just allowing it to be what it is, to let it pass over you, so you can keep on doing the thing that you want to do. And I don't know, just by recognizing the unworkability of it and allowing for that to pass over, and then you can keep on living what the life you want to live.
2020 was the year of the forced allowing, right? It was like think about I can't think of how many sessions I had where it was like there's a tech issue, or like or like it didn't start, like it was, and then you just kind of whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because at the beginning of the pandemic, like I feel like everyone was so caught up in that. And then now it's like it's nothing.
Right. Right.
Like, do you remember like back in the day, and this is dating all three of us, whenever you were young and you could pause movies for the first time and you paused it and you would see the character have a silly face.
Mm-hmm.
And you're young and you're cracking up because like, oh my God, he looks so fucking stupid. Look how stupid he looks. And then now, like if you're pausing Netflix, you don't laugh. It's not a thing. You don't think about it at all. That was old tech.
I yes, and I don't want to interrupt your metaphor, but try this. Go on to like get on your TV, put on a concert, and when they show fans in the background of the concert, like
going like
the fan, it's beautiful. It's hilarious, and it's never not funny.
Well, but I think that like like now it's kind of like same thing happens. Like there's so many times whenever I'm frozen or a client is frozen, and they're like, and I'm not laughing.
Right. It's more like, oh, is it my connection? Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you see?
It becomes so normal.
Yeah, it becomes so normal. My lesson is very similar to yours, Colin, and that it can be summed up in a phrase. It's do not seek, listen. That's my phrase. Do not seek, listen. And I think that up until this year, I've been addressing mental health and friendship and music and so many different things in a linear fashion of building off of what I know. So I know this, so I'm going to build it. I'm going to know this, I'm going to build it. Almost to the extent of like, if I watch the right amount of lectures, if I read the right amount of books, if I meet the right people in a networking way, I will achieve some type of mastery in my art, in being a therapist, in being mentally healthy. And I found that that's all based in ego, and it's limited. It's limiting. And it makes me stuck in only building off of my linear fashion of what I have already built up. so I with my work, with my analyst and my reading, I've been trying to check in with the unconscious and be like, what is the world trying to tell me? Because I don't know that stuff. And so if I
Also,
don't
listening
know it,
gives you the capacity to receive.
yeah.
Right.
And so if I don't know it, then I'm going to be limitless. I'm going to embrace that and be able to kind of like, move forward in whatever direction I need to be going rather than saying, oh, I need to just do this and this and that and this and that. And so the reason why I say it's close to yours, Colin, is like, well, I'm so used to braking
Mm-hmm.
or I'm so used to accelerating. Why are you saying that I have to do both or I can do both? Like that's bizarre. Like to say that how do I hold these two braking and accelerating, equal? And so for me, it's like, yeah, listening to today I brake, tomorrow I accelerate, what do I need to do? Rather than saying I am a braker or I am an accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, do not seek, listen is the biggest lesson I could be given. And it's like so grounding and like putting my ego in check and being like, you don't know anything. Like you need to listen more. Not just in like physically, but like, into everything. Does that make
Right.
sense?
No, it makes total sense, and that's well put. Like
Thank you.
that's not a like easily slam dunk concept to really get
No.
across. Like it makes sense how the way you're saying it, and I
Yeah.
understand it. Okay. Well, before we go,
Yes.
I want to hear from the two of you, three of us together. What is the one thing? And don't give me like, oh, see my family. Bullshit. Like that's great. Yes, we can't wait to do that. What's the one like selfish thing that you just cannot wait to do again once we can
Oh
do
my
stuff again?
God.
Make it quick. Don't overthink it. What's the gut reaction here?
My gut reaction was I want to go back to my office. I miss my office so much. I miss all my
Yeah.
things around me
Yeah.
and the people
space.
coming in and seeing me and like just because it's new to me too. Like it was a new office, so
Yeah.
it's really kind of cute and all set up, and I just miss it.
Oh, okay. I missed you. You have a beautiful office too. I
You
like to go in
do.
your. Yeah, that's a nice space. All right, Andy, you.
Okay, I just thought of this, but
Yeah.
it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. It's impromptu, but it's true. Um, I cannot wait to go to a concert,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and eat at a food truck
Mm-hmm.
and trust the food and the chefs
Mm-hmm.
and, um, you know, maybe eat with my hands unclean and have like some street tacos and like I'm kind of specifically talking about Cheer Up Charlie's, like like going to a show at Cheer Up Charlie's, you're inside, there's too many people around you and music's loud, and then you go to that beautiful vegan trailer right out back and you eat some food and just
Yeah, no,
having a cocktail outside and just being there and being able to be downtown with my nervous system low and
right. And be able to enjoy yourself.
be able to enjoy myself, like a little bit greasy and just to be a city kid again.
That sounds nice. Both of those sound good. Mine is a little lamer. I cannot wait to go sit in the middle of a movie theater
Oh yeah.
for the lights to come down with popcorn, sharing, friends, family, big budget, loud, huge movie. Like I love going to the movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss that.
What was the last movie that you experienced that?
In the theater? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know. It's
like
been
as
so
you're talking
long.
about it, like what's a memory that you have?
Oh, I mean, all the superhero movies, Star Wars. I
Yeah.
think probably Star Wars. Any of the new Star Wars, like it's always an event. Like I get my brother to come down from Waco, my friends here. We get Alamo tickets. Like I think I buy like the souvenir cups that come along with it. Like
Yeah.
it's a whole thing, and I love it. I love it. About once a month, I feel like once every other month we get to do something like that.
Can I tell you, like real briefly, a story? Um, Whenever episode 1, The Phantom Menace came out, my little brother was probably like 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, you didn't buy like a seat. You had to get to the seats and like get there before anyone else did. It was like first come first serve. Yeah. And
We used to live like barbarians, didn't we?
we did. And so for episode 1, we're sitting in line, and my little brother's 8 years oldish, and they say they let you go, they let you in, and he runs through the crowd. And we had this plan so bad where he goes, Dad, where are you, Dad? And he ran through the crowd and then saved like 6 seats, like an entire row.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we watched episode 1 like prime seats because my little brother was like, "Where are you, Dad?"
Right.
You know?
Preying on the gut-wrenching reactions of all the parents, like, "Oh my God, this little boy!
Oh my God, let him through! Let him through! Oh my God,
Dad, I've saved the seats." All right, man. Well, thank you guys. This was great.
Good luck in 21.
Yes, good luck in 21.
love you guys.
All right, peace out.